to find out at any given time where the rosh is. And does it in a very interesting way. He gives you, instead of subtracting, he tells you to add, and then by the end, you take the final result, you subtract it from 360, and that's how we find the Makam Rosh. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so let's see, give an example here. Rosh Rotzinu Leida Makam Rosh Tchilas Leida Erev Shabbos. Sheyoim Moishei Lochit Sheim Shana Zu Shnas Ike. Minyan Hayom HaGemurim Metchilas Leida Ike At Tchilas Leida Zeh is exactly 29 days. So what do you do? So the Rambam explains, Toitzi Emtza Rosh Leisa Zois Derech Sheidait. Toitzi Malchut, you add for 29 days. Yetzlach Emtza Rosh Mea Shtayim, it's 182. As we said, it travels 1.5 degrees. So now the final result, you subtract the final result from 360. That's just as, instead of working with subtraction, then you get negative numbers, that's not desirable. We work in an interesting way that we add, and the final, we subtract the result from 360. That gives us the same result. Okay, and obviously the Zonav is exactly 180 degrees away, so it's Mazel Dagim, it's Shevas miles, let's say 320, and Mazel Dagim, B'Sheva B'Esher miles, yeah, so it's almost 360. It's 357. L'oilem hier ben Oish Zonav, Chatzi Gag L'Shava, Fiche Kol Ma Shetitz Ben Oish Zonav Mazel Shvi. Count 180 degrees. Okay, that's also simple. Now let's see here. Now we'll come to the punchline of this whole chapter. So, at a given time, we find the Makam Arosh Mazanav through the Rambam's formula. Quite a simple formula. You just keep on adding this tiny movement. Each month it's 1.5 degrees, and you either subtract, or you add, and then the final number you deduct from 360. Whichever way you want, it's the same answer. So anyway, the way to work it out is that you take now the Rosh and the Hayerach Amiti. What that is calculated already from the videos before. There were a lot of painstaking work where the real moon is. The real moon. He said there's Hayerach Hamtzah, Hayerach Amiti. We have to know through finding that the Sefas HaMaslo, then Manas HaMaslo, and so all these finally we got to figure out where the Hayerach Amiti is. So we take these two numbers, Makam Rosh, Hayerach Amiti, is Bain. Imagine it just happened to be that exactly it's on the Rosh and the Zanav. You know the moon does not have either Netias Tzafaini, it means it's not north of the ecliptic, neither south. If you know that the moon is now above a certain degree that is above the Rosh, so you know it's north of the ecliptic. If it's about to reach the Rosh, it's in front of the tail. So that's the rule. Once you have these 2 degrees, you know where the Rosh is. Let's say the Rosh is 170, and the Hayerach Amiti is 172. So you know that the Hayerach Amiti has a tiny, slight northern inclination. It's a drop above the ecliptic. If it's 168, it's before the Rosh. It means it is now. It has it's a southern inclination. It's negative. It's below the ecliptic. It's called the latitude of the moon. So that's how they call it in language. It's called latitude. The ecliptic latitude of the moon. Because its latitude means if it's above the ecliptic, it's called a northern latitude. If it's south of the ecliptic, it's a southern latitude. And conventionally, it's called negative. Anything that's south is called negative. The most it can go is 5 degrees north. We showed that in the picture. The previous. Let's see if I can still flash it back here. Yeah. So here we see approximately 5. The most it goes south of the ecliptic or north is 5 degrees. It never goes more than that. .180 degrees later, it's on the ecliptic itself. Same thing. It goes to the most extreme southern latitude, then it starts turning its way back. Here is the final thing now. So, our goal is to figure out the exact latitude of the moon. Now, you can understand that there's a certain formula here that tells us if the moon is traveled X amount of degrees from the rosh, then what will be its rochav? Will it be 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, or 5? And obviously, we know already if it's 90 degrees, it's 5. That's what we just finished saying. That if it's the highest point here, this is 90 degrees. 90 degrees from the rosh, the rochav is 5. However, how about if it's 30 degrees? What's the rochav? If it's 40 degrees. So we need to give you numbers. Rambam needs to give you numbers for all these intervals to find what it will be the rochav when the hayerach traveled a certain amount from the when hayerach traveled a certain amount. So let's see. Okay. So I'm saying like this: Toitzi makem aroish makem hayerach amiti lo isais. Tigra makem aroish makem hayerach amiti. You see how far is the moon from the rosh? Let's say the makem aroish is 70, and the hayerach amiti is 80. So it means that the hayerach is 10 degrees away from the rosh. Nishoy nikla maslo haroich, maslo haroich. So from 0 to 180 takes hayerach 20. Then you know there's going to be a certain northern latitude. Yeah, maslo yasser meya ishmainen. Pay the shlecha vidorim. I mesh shoboy. I mesh shoboy. I need to tell them okay. Ta'ab zevetirim anasa maslo lechikamehi. Yishin to yasser at sofen and adorim. So let's now get the portion. I'm going to give us some numbers here, and then we'll show some charts, and hopefully this will be the end of this chapter. It's not such a complicated chapter. It's very straightforward. We understand what we're doing here. So let's see. As our example. So make an example. Let's say the rosh is by 70. And the hayerach is right now, the hayerach amiti is 80. So it's 10 degrees away from the rosh. So the Ram says, it's 52 halakim. Less than a degree. If the hayerach amiti comes out to be 20 degrees away from the rosh, we'll just skim through. We'll just get to 90. Via Masla Tishim. If it's 90 degrees away from the rosh, Tiyam Nasi Chamish minus. Then it's 5 degrees. As we said, that's the most it can get. Okay, says India Chodim Masars. How about if it's not a full 10, if let's say the hayerach is not 10 degrees, not 20, it's 15 degrees from the rosh. So what do? You take the average. The same trick we did by the shemesh. You take the average. Let's say it's 35 degrees away from the rosh. If it would be, I'm sorry, I said 53. So if it would be 50, then the Rambam gives you the number for 50. It's 3 degrees and 50 halakim. If it's 60, then it's 4 degrees and 20 halakim. So how much is the difference between 3 degrees and 50 and 4 degrees and 20? We have 10, 30. We have 30 halakim. Shlosh halakim. So what does it mean? Shlosh halakim. So each degree is averagely 3 halakim. So according to that, if it's 53, we take 9. Just add 9. That's simple, basic, elementary math to find the average. And I hope everybody knows that already. So we just continue. Oh, now here Rambam says, how about 100? So this is important to understand that it has a symmetry here. So 80 and 100 have the same. Let's say 80 is 4 degrees, 100 is also, because the way the circle works, that they're both 10 degrees away from the peak. So 80 and 110 share the same rochav. 70 and 120 and 110, share, they're both 20 degrees away. 60 shares the same as 120. So essentially we just need to know from 0 to 90. Then we know already the other half from 90 to 180. And obviously the other is just the same, just instead of doing at Flaini, we do a Deraimi. So basically, once we know from 0 to 90, we have already all the numbers we need to know. I'll show you soon a chart for this. How about if it's from 180 to 270? So first we deduct 180. And again, now we have a number here that's from 0 to 90. But it will be, in this case, it will be the same as 0 to 90, just instead of Tzfain, it will be the Raimi. And if it's from 270 to 360, same stuff. We go backwards. So let's say we have 280. So 280 is the same like 260. And 260 is the same like 80. Because it's 260 minus 180. So it's basically, it's all these 4 parts. 0 to 90, 90 to 180, 180 to 270, 270 to 360, they all have the same thing. And once we know from 0 to 180, 0 to 90, we know from 90 to 180, and then the rest is history. The rest you just do, instead of Tzfaini, you do the Rami. Anisha, take the boy Haman. I think, the Rambam gives you an example for this also. So I think we'll have to make another video for this. The time is always running up. Let me just show this and then we'll conclude with this video. This is a chart showing from 0 to 90. You see here it goes up 5 degrees. For example, here it's 40 by 40, the rochav is 3 degrees and something. But here, you see here how it changes. It's about 1 degree when it reaches to 15.